Joining us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law, our guy Bill Bender from the Sporting News, senior writer over there. Follow him on Twitter at BillBender92. Bill Bender, who is a Packers fan, did you see the gigantic brawls that happened at Packers-Seahawks practice today?
I haven't seen them yet. I've kind of had my head down working on a college football project. Nobody's hurt, right? That's always my question after a preseason thing.
Nobody's hurt. It appears it involved Tucker Kraft and Zach Tom at the beginning. Then Elton Jenkins got involved. Then Tom and Jenkins got sat. They put the rookie Belton in, and then he started throwing punches. It was rather large. Kay Adams on Twitter said it was the largest training camp fight ever. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, at least they're warmed up for these final couple preseason games. I watched some of the Colts game. It was a little, I'm going to confess, maybe not every play of that game. Watched the first game, obviously, and then we're going from there as we get into college football these next couple weeks. As you know, that's where most of my attention is. I try to get the Packers as much as I can.
Well, I appreciate it. And I got you on to talk college football, Big Ten, Badgers. I have said, and we have Badger guests on all the time, obviously, and anytime a season starts, you want to try and find some way of being optimistic that your team might be better than what people are saying or whatever. I can't get myself there, man. They've got the toughest schedule in college football, I think, the Wisconsin Badgers do this year. They don't have the most talent in the whole wide world. I look at this team and think 4-5 wins maybe. Like I don't see how they get to bowl eligibility.
It's going to be hard that November. I don't know who made that schedule. To Luke Fickell's credit, he knew this was coming, I think, in some ways with the schedule. He talked about the schedule. And, when you step out and play non-con games like Alabama, I think that's good for the sport. It can be bad for – I'm wondering, now that we're talking about it, because the Big Ten schedules are in balance a little more than the SEC schedules because there are more teams. I hope that makes sense. It makes it harder to step out in some ways.
I think, and it'll be interesting to see how this all goes because the Cignetti down in Indiana was talking about how the SEC doesn't schedule anybody in their non-conference and they pay a bunch of nobodies and we should all schedule like the SEC. And then he made a comment the other day that, hey, here you go. We're scheduling like the SEC now. And Brett McMurphy was all like, oh, that's garbage, and he listed all of the bad teams that Indiana scheduled, but he missed Cignetti's point that Cignetti had been preaching the whole offseason, which was a lot of these guys don't play anybody in the offseason. They just rely on the strength of their conference schedule. And that's kind of how Cignetti apparently decided he's going to approach it with Indiana. Is there a right way to do this? Because back in the day when Brett Bielema was here, me and him got into a screaming match on the radio about his non-conference schedule being crap and him trying to defend it because it used to just drive me nuts. Which way would you do it if you were running a college football program in the Big Ten or the SEC?
I can tell you. So Wisconsin, by the way, that was the old, and I'm a MAC grad. Wisconsin just slaughters MAC schools. They did it for years. It was brutal watching them beat teams by like 60 when they were doing that. I would do it this way. I would have the 9 conference games. I actually think the Big Ten should go to 10 conference games now. I really do. I think then you play one group of 5 school. If you want to play another Power 4 school, beef up your schedule. If you think that maybe, hey, yeah, I don't begrudge Cignetti. He explained it to us this way last year that kind of scheduling to go to a bowl game last year. And that is Indiana, right? Yep. So I don't think anybody expected them to do what they did. Granted, the schedule was imbalanced. But, I was telling people last year, had Michigan had some quarterback play, they would have beat Indiana. They would have won that game. But that's neither here nor there. So to answer your question, 9 conference games. If we're going to play 12, I'll do 2 group of 5 schools. But I'm going to step out and play at least one Power 4 school in non-conference play. I think you should.
He is Bill Bender. Follow him at the Sporting News, senior writer over there. Follow him on Twitter at BillBender92 on Twitter. How top-heavy is the Big Ten expected to be this year?
Well, there's tiers. There's tiers. So Wisconsin right now would be in that 3rd tier. The 2nd tier to me is, as you work your way up, it's probably Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, maybe Nebraska, maybe USC, maybe Iowa, depending on the quarterback. That first tier is pretty solid. Like, who's going to break in and beat Ohio State? Who's going to break in and beat Penn State with everything they have coming back? I don't think we've talked about Oregon a lot, and they won the conference last year. At least I haven't, if I was doing a pie chart. Dante Moore's an interesting find for them, and we'll see how they do. But I do think that's your first tier, and there's some intrigue with Illinois, Indiana, Michigan for me. Illinois is getting a lot. Like, they're not this year. We can't call them this year's Indiana, have them ranked like 12 or 13, right? Because we're actually seeing that coming a little bit.
You know, the other thing about this, when we talk about the Big Ten and what the future holds, they are talking about wanting to do a championship game for the conference, 1 versus 2. Okay, that's fine. No big deal. But then they're talking about having and both of those would be automatic qualifiers. Then a 3-6 matchup, that would be, the winner of that would be an automatic qualifier. And then a 4-5 matchup with the winner of that being an automatic qualifier. And that's how they get to 4. That seems bananas to me.
I can't picture, and again, as you know, I grew up in Central Ohio here. I can't picture the loser of the Ohio State-Michigan game where their mindset would be going to play like a 4-5 game the next week.
They wouldn't be. No. They wouldn't be. No.
Right.
No, it wouldn't be. It would be the conference championship game would played. No matter what happens, they both are qualified and their season's done. 3-6 play, the winner of that, their season is done and they're qualified for the playoffs. 4-5 plays, the winner of that qualifies for the playoffs and their season is done. It's not a bracket style. It's 3 individual games with the 1 and 2 seeds make it automatically. The winner of 3-6 goes and the winner of 4-5 goes.
No, I'm saying like after the regular season game. So so I just don't, what are we doing these rivalries for? I'm not into that format anyway. And I'm not into the 24 team.
That's the next thing. Yep.
32. I mean, what's 48? What are we going to do next? I just think I've kind of been consistent. I just for a different story. I was talking to Steve Spurrier this afternoon and he said it best, right? He said, 16 teams, or you can go from 12 to 16. You can use the conference champions because you have to have some value in a conference championship. And I think you should play the first 2 rounds on campus. And if we're going to do this sport the way we're going to do it, let's perfect the playoff. Let's not, 28 teams, how confusing would that be?
Yeah, but this is my thing. For all of you college football guys that want to complain about, oh boy, we can't have 24. Oh boy, we can't have 28. Where's everybody complaining about the NCAA basketball tournament where there's like 100 teams playing in this thing? The other, Mason Crosby does a show on this station. And I heard Mason Crosby earlier this week go, man, by the time we even got to the college football national championship, I was done with it. The playoff took too long. But the NCAA tournament goes a month. Nobody complains about that. To me, it doesn't seem any different.
Well, what would you be can I ask what your that would be like if you were like, if you were the college football commissioner? So I'll do that. If you were that,
you don't want to hear what I want because I liked it the way it was. Give me a computer program, top 2 teams that the computer spits out, they play for the national championship, and let's go. That's what I wanted. I wanted all of the people out of it. I don't like committees. I don't like human interaction. None of that. Put together a computer program. Tell everybody what the computer program is using to judge who the top teams are. Top 2 teams picked by the computer program, play for the national championship, and we're done. That's what I would like.
Well, you know what? You're fine. I was a guy that loved the BCS because I always told people, I'm okay with all the changes they've made in college football. I'm not that guy. But when we did the BCS, I always point out to people that hated it. I said, okay, so how many years did they get it wrong?
Correct.
What year did you hate the title game so much? And if you're a Auburn fan, you could say there was a year there. Or if you're like a Boise or a TCU fan, you could say they never opened it up for us. But I loved something of college football that I love that's different than the NFL, and I love both sports, was I always love that feeling of pressure in November. 8-0, 8-0, 7-1. You've got to win this game. Now, we live in a world literally where, if you'd have told me when we were on the show last year, hey, Ohio State's going to lose to Michigan and maybe the worst loss in program history. And I'm not understating that. They're going to turn around and win a national title in the same season. if you would have told 16-year-old me that, I'd been like, what planet are you on right now?
Absolutely. And that's the crazy part about where we are right now. And I saw another piece where it's kind of become like the National Football League as far as getting free agents, bringing guys in. I mean, Belichick has 72 new players in North Carolina at this point in one offseason. Deion did it in Colorado the same way. Wisconsin's not going to do it that way, but Wisconsin's relying on their quarterback to be a transfer portal quarterback every year. And that's went up in flames for 2 years running, going on 3 now.
Right. And well, I was down in Morgantown a couple weeks ago with Rich Rod, and he's back, and they had 74 transfers.
Good 74. God.
And he was, and I'm not saying this like one of Rich Rod in any way, but he was literally getting questions and like trying to figure out, I'm not 100% sure who that guy is. You know what I mean? Like, that's how many are in where, we know, I'm not saying he didn't know who the guy was, but he probably doesn't know too much about some of these guys as a player. And Belichick, same way. I'm super intrigued by the whole Belichick thing. I really am. For that Monday night game against TCU, I have no idea how it's going to work. I have no idea what offense they're going to run. I think they're going to try to do it like a pro team. And I do know if they beat TCU, that will be storylines in week 1. That could be the dominant one.
Oh, for sure it will be. Yeah, no question. I think Belichick will be the dominant storyline all year, regardless of what is going on. It's going to be like Deion all over again, where everybody's going to want to talk about that one program with that star headlining coach, I think, going forward. Who are your 2 best teams in college football in your mind going into the year to wrap this up?
They're playing each other here in Columbus. I think Texas and Ohio State, I think they'll figure it out. Both teams did lose a lot of talent to the NFL. To me, and as somebody that watched the Big Ten, I mean, I got to see Penn State beat Ohio State before I can go any further there. And then Texas, I'm a believer in Arch. I'm not so sure we won't see if he stays 2 years. We'll get more out of him next year. Georgia, we're not talking about enough, though. They're probably the least talked about SEC champions of all time. And Kirby's probably telling that in the locker room every single day. Yeah, and I'll leave you with a quick confession. I did watch the first couple episodes of that Cowboys Netflix special.
Oh, no.
I think I have to skip over the next couple of years, though. We're on the years where they were bad. I think there's this portion that all Packers fans know.
Yep.
Like, I don't think I can watch those episodes. Sorry.
Yeah, the 90s were bad. I just can't. I don't want to relive that again. Bill Bender, Sporting News, senior writer. Follow him on Twitter at BillBender92. Always love having him on. Bill, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, anytime. Thanks for having me. Take care.
You betcha. Take care. There he is, Bill Bender on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all.